Alrighty, welcome back to the Final Fantasy VII Enemy Trivia Challenge. Thank you guys so much for all the support for this series. It has been incredible. This has been some of the most fun I've had doing a challenge run, quote-unquote challenge run. But it's been a blast, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for all the support. Before we start, one of the biggest questions I got last week on the last week's episodes was what would happen if we used Pandora's Box on Bottom Swell. So I showed off last week that the PC version has a weird quirk where if you use Pandora's Box, it will show hidden models in a fight. And usually you really only ever see that on Bizarro Sephiroth because you don't get Pandora's Box until the very end of the game, until Dragon Zombie. And then the only other boss you're going to fight after that is Sephiroth. So you might see it during the Sephiroth fight, but other than that, you don't really ever see it happen. And even if you leave the North Crater and fight some old enemies with Pandora's Box is so strong that it just one-shots anything, so you're not going to be able to see the results. But I showed off, what was the enemy? We showed off Rufus, where if we jump back in time and fight Rufus and give him enough HP to survive Pandora's Box, you can see a second hidden helicopter in the background. And after I showed that off, there were a lot of comments. People are asking what would happen if we used it on Bottom Swell, because I talked about in the Bottom Swell fight how the bubbles are actually invisible in the field. And then once he uses the bubble attack, the bubble appears on the party member, right? So I tried it out, and the result is actually a bit different than I thought it would be. So I thought it's interesting enough to show. So let me give myself a maxed out enemy skill materia. And then we will give Bottom Swell enough HP to survive Pandora's Box. And we got to give Cloud enough MP to even use it. I don't know what it is about Pandora's Box that gives it this property, and it's only on the PC version as well. So I'm not sure if it's just a coding error or what, but we've known about this pretty much since the PC version came out because you know, it's not very hard to have it happen on Bizarro Sephiroth because Pandora's Box is a great ability to use on him, so. But anyways, here you go. So that's what happens. So you can see all three bubbles are there. I figured they would show up on the character, like on us, but it turns out they actually just sit underneath him. And then when he uses the attack like this, now it's gonna jump over to Yuffie. And then the two other ones just chill. So there you go. For everyone that was asking, that's what happens. Also, another question I got was whether or not regen actually is as good as duel. So if you have, well, or in this case, Seizure. So when the bubble is on Yuffie, she gets a status ailment called Seizure, and it causes your HP to drop like a anti-regen. And if we give her regen now, which you won't be able to see the effect, but if I go in and give her regen, oh, it won't let me because she's paralyzed. I'd have to give her regen without the bubble. But then we'd have to sit and wait for a bubble. So, long story short, yes. If you have regen and you if you have regen and then you get bubbled, your HP just stays the same. So it's exactly the same strength, which is pretty interesting. All right, let's move on to Gongaga. And we have a couple pretty interesting enemies in Gongaga. We already fought the enemies out here. But we have 3 enemies in Gongaga to fight, and we also have this fight here. Bum, bum. So this is where the whole Reno gimmick gets even more interesting. So in Midgar, we talked about how Reno has this really cool gimmick that I never knew about, where if you use specifically Bolt on him, it has to be Bolt, it can't be like Trine or something, it has to be Bolt, he will then make his next attack his Electro Rod move. So it's almost like he's charging up his staff, right? And he also takes less bolt damage in that fight. So in this fight, he actually has the same gimmick again, but it's with Electroprod, which does basically the same thing, but it can't paralyze. So if I use Bolt on Reno, his staff will get charged, and then his next attack will be Electroprod. There you go. And it does pretty good damage. It doesn't paralyze in this fight, but it does pretty good damage. So, again, it blew my mind. Oh, it could be Bolt 2 and Bolt 3 as well. Just not any other. It can't be like Ramu or Trine. But yeah, that still blows my mind. Like, I thought it was crazy that it was in the first fight, but turns out it's in this fight as well. And as you'll see, we'll continue to see it later. So, that's really cool. Also, I think he takes regular lightning damage in this fight. I forget. Also, this fight takes place in a field with random encounters, so you can actually get a preemptive in this fight, which is really goofy because there's a whole cutscene of them saying, we're going to fight you, and then you somehow get a preemptive on them. What else? Oh, one really interesting thing, he won't use Electroprod in this fight otherwise, unless you do the Bolt thing. In the first fight, he can use it even if you don't use Bolt on him. In this fight, he will never use it unless you use Bolt, so it's specifically for that gimmick, which most people won't even ever know exists. His Turk Light attack looks like it's a fire damage attack, but it's actually just non-elemental. And in this fight, it's wise to kill Reno before killing Rude, or just killing them both at the same time, because Reno has the Fairy Tail drop, and if you kill Rude, then Reno will leave and you won't get the Fairy Tail drop, which is a really, really good staff for Aerith. Now let's talk about Rude. Rude will not attack Tifa in this fight unless she's the only target left, and if she's the only target left, he'll have a 2/3 chance to hit her with shoulder tackle, and a 1/3 chance to just print a message that says ... and then do nothing. So even if Tifa's the last character, there's still a 1/3 chance that Rude won't attack, which is pretty interesting. He also will never use the fire spell on Tifa. He will only use the shoulder charge. And he also has a cover ability where you can cover Reno from damage, and his Grand Spark ability on his ability table, but he never uses them in this fight. So at some point, they were thinking about letting him use Grand Spark in this fight like he does in the future fights. And also he was going to have some kind of cover mechanic, but then they never did it. Which is kind of a shame, because I think a really cool gimmick of this fight would have been that Rude protects Reno from like physical hits, and then maybe like counters with Grand Spark. And then they still could have had the thing where Reno actually has the better drop. Reno has the fairy tale drop. So you would have to use magic on Reno to kill him. And then your reward for that would be the fairy tale. And if you tried to use physical attacks on him, then Rude would cover it, and then you'd end up killing Rude first, and then you wouldn't get the fairy tale. So it'd be a bit of like a reward for getting past Rude's cover. So that could have been cool, but I guess they decided at some point not to use it. I think if I were to redesign this fight, that's probably what I would do. I would have Rude cover Reno, and then there'd be some kind of reward for beating Reno with magic. Yeah, as with a lot of early fights in this game, poison is great. Also, Rude is back row, I think, in this fight. Or not technically back row, but he looks like he's back row. So they could have made him back row and then had him cover. And then, you know, he would have taken less damage from physical attacks. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff they could have done in this fight. Instead, they kind of just attack and that's it. Then Reno has the cool bolt counter, but most people will never know it's even a thing. And this Turk Light attack he uses later to confuse people, but in this fight it doesn't confuse. It seems they really nerfed this fight a lot. Like, they got rid of... Yeah, on top of that, he can cure Reno, too. You know, the Electroprod counter doesn't paralyze. Turk Light doesn't confuse. Rude doesn't cover. A lot of things they could have done, they just... I think they wanted to make this fight easier. For whatever reason. Since it's kind of random, maybe. Not random, but just you kind of run into it suddenly. I love the idea of an alternate universe where the Turk fights are actually like really tough. All right, this is a Kamara bug. So, Kamara bug is a mistranslation of insect chimera, which refers to its praying mantis body and face of a spider and butterfly. So, I never really took the time to really look at this enemy. I guess I just always kind of saw him as like a big bug and didn't really think twice about it. But actually, let's take a look at the model viewer, because that would be an even better. If it'll load. It's not loading for some reason. Is it broken? Oh, there it goes. So let's look at Kamara bug here. So if you look really closely, you got like this. Let me blow this up. So you got this head here, and then this head here, and then this spider head down here. So I never really took the time to look at it, but yes, it is literally a chimera bug. It is a combination of 3 bug heads and then a bug body. And the bug body is a praying mantis. And then you have the spider, and I guess this is also the praying mantis head. and then like a moth head or butterfly head. So yeah, pretty wild. I mean, now that you see it, it's like super obvious when you look at it in the game. But if you never really take the time to look at it, you wouldn't even notice. Mosquito, maybe? Yeah. So, and then of course they mistranslated Chimera again for some reason. I don't know why this team just did not know what a Chimera was, but instead they made it Chimera bug, which is a shame because Insect Chimera is like a really cool name. So this is actually a super useful enemy because it is the only source of spider webs outside of the grass trike from Midgar. So once you leave Midgar, you can't get spider webs anymore except from this guy. And also he's one of only 2 sources of hourglasses in the game, which are super useful because they cause stop. And spider webs are his steel and hourglasses is morph. So we can't get the hourglasses yet, but you can come back and morph him for hourglasses. So very useful enemy. He's also not too difficult to fight. Stop web is a bit annoying, but other than that, he's not too bad. Especially when he does this. And see, like, he has butterfly attack too, which is cool. So he has like the spider web. The spider does the web attack, and then the butterfly does the flying attack. Let me actually check. Does he have a third attack? He has stop web, butterfly attack, and spider attack, which is weird because you would think the web would be the spider attack, but yeah, those are his 3 attacks. So he does have 3 attacks, 3 heads. I guess maybe the praying mantis is doing the stop web, but that doesn't make much sense. And now we have this legendary creature. If you want some cool trivia about the Titan summon here, you can watch our video with Last Elixir about the golem materia and the calm chest. What's the name of the video? The Mystery of the Calm Chest, I think. That's what I called it. Alright, here he is. The heavy tank. Fan favorite enemy. So, the heavy tank has a bigger chance to use Big Spiral multiple times the lower his HP is. And he can also morph into power sources, and is the most effective source farm when not using the W item glitch, as he's the only enemy in this field. So if you're using the W item glitch to multiply sources, then it's better to use a fight where there's more than one enemy that you can morph into power sources so you can multiply them. But if you're not using the W item glitch, then this guy's the best farm for power sources because he's the only enemy in this field. You can just fight him over and over again and quickly morph him for a power source every time. Which is something I believe I did as a kid. I think this was like my my strat for getting strong as a kid once I figured this out, before I knew how to use the W item glitch, or at least how to use the W item glitch to dupe sources, because it's a bit trickier. I think I knew as a kid how to duplicate items with the W item glitch. It's a pretty easy thing to accidentally figure out, but sources are a lot trickier to do. So if we check out this enemy from Rebirth, this is Maliceros from Rebirth. And this is supposed to be... So when we first played Rebirth, we figured that this might be the heavy tank enemy. Like, this is basically the Triceratops tank reference in Rebirth, which people were sad about because... Some people were sad about it because, like, obviously he's not a tank. Other people said, like, it's probably not even a reference, and they just totally didn't reference the Triceratank. But if you look at this guy's... first of all, his name actually is the Japanese name for heavy tank. So that's one point towards him being a reference. But also his intel entry calls him the true tank of the animal kingdom. So, yeah. I think it's safe to say this is the heavy tank of Rebirth. So they did reference him, even though he doesn't look anything like himself. They did at least reference him in Rebirth. There was a huge, like, you know, it was kind of a meme, but people were saying, like, Triceratank or I want a refund. Which, like, yes, he's a really cool enemy, but also I don't think it's necessary he has to be in Rebirth. He is definitely one of the more memorable enemies, though. Either because he's ridiculous or because he's the only enemy in this field and almost everyone fights him on their casual playthrough. As to what this thing even, like, truly is, I don't know. Like, this is a ruined reactor, so I think it's safe to say this is supposed to be some kind of crazy Shinra experiment. But I don't know, like, how does this even happen? This doesn't have the vibe of, like, some kind of, like, sample or something where it's like some kind of enemy they threw Genova cells in and it, like, mutated. This just looks like they took a dinosaur and they were like, what if dinosaur tank? You know? So I don't know. What if we combine dinosaur and motorball? Some developer's kid's idea? Maybe. All right, we have one more enemy in this area, and I'm warning you now, it's not for the faint of heart. If you're frightened easily, you may want to skip this part of the video. No reason to buy the diamond pin. Well, I guess not no reason. When the reactor exploded, it exposed fossils in the area to the raw Mako, and they fused with the military equipment. Yeah, I'll buy that. Let's see here. I don't think I need to level this up. Maybe? This, I'd like to level up. For reasons. don't think I've ever used this in before, but I'm going to use this in. I'm sure I've used it before, but not very often. Usually when I get to this point in the game later, when you show up in Gungaga, that chest is still unopened. Because I like never go in there. Alright, so I think this enemy only shows up in this field, by the way. Like, it has to be this later field. It can't be the first field. And yeah, like I said, prepare yourself. Put the kids to bed. Grab your support blankie. This is by far the scariest enemy in the game. Oh, we got the mini Touch Me F fight. Not as bad as the Touch Me F fight, but still a pincer. It's so much scarier than the water heater. Oh my god, the water heater holds nothing on this guy. How's it going, Rive? Welcome. Yeah, man, we're going to be doing more Final Fantasy X later today. And it's going to get wild because we're going to be fighting Seymour Naval. I don't know why they even have a single fight with a Touch Me. Let me make sure this guy can show up. Oh, maybe not. Is it only this field? Okay. Looks like I had it backwards. He only shows up on this field. So I think it's safe to say this is one of the more rare enemies in the game, since it's only this field. Having said that, it's only like a 1 in 5, I think. It's not super rare, but it's just you run through this so quickly that you're probably not going to see it that often. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I feel it. Well, it's great to have you here for the Final Fantasy VII trivia. We'll be doing this for the next, like, 3-ish hours, so you got plenty of time before you gotta leave. All right, here we go. Here he is. So this is the Flower Prong, the scariest enemy in Final Fantasy VII. I don't know what drugs they were taking, what horror movie they watched before coming into work today, but whoever designed this is a freak of nature. As it takes damage, it moves from its first form to its second form, and then its second form to its third form, and each form has less and less XP, AP, and Gil awards. So if you're able to one-shot this thing in Phase 1, you will actually get more Gil and XP than if you let it get to its third form. Its final form has a debut laser attack that does 93.75% of the target's current HP. So it literally does supernova damage to a single target. Supernova hits everyone for 93.75% and does like status ailments and stuff. This just hits one character, but it's supernova damage. That's how much damage it does. The fight starts with 3 enemies in the field, but only 1 is active, and when it switches from form to form, they're completely different enemies, resulting in their health being fully restored. So there's a lot of enemies in this game that have multiple forms, but as they go through the forms, they will copy the HP. So if you do like 200 damage to form 1, it'll go to form 2 and then basically like deal 200 damage to itself. I think the way it actually does it is it like copies the value, but for the sake of explaining, it like damages itself down to where it should be. This guy's different. This guy, if you don't kill him in phase 1, he will fully heal himself in phase 2. Then if you don't kill him in phase 2, he'll fully heal himself again to phase 3. And like I said, you get less and less rewards as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so let's see the Nightmare Fuel. And this guy is crazy strong too. Like way stronger than he should be. Even his first form, like Bio 2, does big damage. So here's phase 2. And here's phase 3. Absolute nightmare fuel. What is wrong with them? Who designed this? Look at this thing. We got the pincer attack, so it's a bit hard to see its face, but like, what is going on? And look at this damage. Supernova level damage from this W laser. What was going on? Like, there's... this might be one of the strongest random encounters in the game. It probably is. It's just out of nowhere sitting in Gagaga. Like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy how strong this guy is. And he spams this thing, too. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a ton of health. That's kind of the one saving grace, but yeah. Really wild. I mean, there's parts later in the game where there's trick fights or like, you know, parts of the game where it's kind of trying to troll you a bit. And most of the time the enemies are not as strong as that thing. And that's just a random fight in here. So I think it's safe to say they overtuned that fight. What's the different reward? It's not a huge difference, but it's just interesting that you get less and less reward. You would think you would get better rewards for beating the harder forms, but it's more like you're getting punished for letting it get to its later forms. Okay, I think we're good till Cosmo area, which is right over here. And I'm pretty excited for Cosmo area because we might have the rarest enemy in the game up here. I don't know, like, it's kind of hard to say what constitutes the rarest enemy, but I feel like the most amount of people in the comments will say, I've never seen this enemy before. But actually, I think we need, well, we could get out of the buggy to go fight him. So yeah, we'll see. Okay, so this is Ski, which is a fantastic name. So Ski drops hypers and tranquilizers. He drops hypers and you can steal tranquilizers. So he's a really cool enemy for controlling your sadness and fury. I remember as a kid, I used to always come here when I needed tranks, or like when I was a kid, I didn't understand that sadness was actually a good status, obviously. And I also hated being in fury because it made me miss all the time. But also sometimes I liked being in fury because I wanted to like spam limits, or when I was trying to learn limits and stuff. So I would always come here if I either wanted fury or wanted sadness. If I wanted fury, I would just let them attack me and put me into fury or kill them for their hypers. And if I wanted sadness, then I would steal from them to get the tranquilizers. Honestly, you could just go to a shop and buy them. They're cheap anyways, but I just remember as a kid, I always came here for that. Probably because I didn't want to spend my gil. They have a really interesting AI quirk where if they are poisoned, they will gain a 50% chance to use Rage Bomber. Otherwise, they only use it as a counter once they're below 50% HP. So they have like a little buff if they get poisoned. If they get poisoned, they get like enraged and start spamming their strongest attack at 50% chance. The Final Fantasy Wiki states that the Ski might be a reference to Pen from Neon Genesis Evangelion, who looks like this. So if you're a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion, you might see the resemblance here. I would say probably yes. Looking at it, I mean, they're pretty close, even the hair, you know? They also have an inscription on their belly, and he has the name thing there, so... Also, yeah, like the name reference, pen, ski, right? So I think it's a pretty done deal. I think he's definitely a reference. You'll see later that we've already seen some of it, some of the references to like anime stuff. So it's not out of the question that they would be referencing an anime. They have already done it in the game multiple times. So yeah, pretty cool. And speaking of the thing on his chest, that is kanji, that is the word anger. So, makes sense. He's like the fury enemy. So his chest says anger. And also, I'm glad we got this fight, because there's a funny gimmick with this fight. If you kill 3 of these guys, which they usually show up in 3s, you will get 666 XP and 66 AP and 666 gil. So they specifically gave them all 222 XP and 222 gil so that you get 666 when you kill 3 of them. So there you go. They're the rage, devil, evil enemy. And now we have Golem. The original Golem enemy, before we get more specific ones later. So this is a very good example, as I've said many times over the game. This is another great example of an enemy that has a really involved AI that you're really just not going to see much of, because you're usually pretty strong in this game and just whack regular enemies pretty quickly. But basically, he has several rows he can be in. Throughout the fight, you'll see he'll move back and forth. I don't know if I have to hit him or not to get him to do it. There you go. So he'll move back and forth into different rows. Now he's all the way up into the front. And he will get not only different attacks, but also different stats, depending on where he's in the rows. Due to a coding oversight, as soon as the golem moves for the first time, his magic attack underflows and gets set to 255. So basically the way it works is, as he moves forward, he loses magic attack and gains regular attack. And then as he moves backwards, he gets his magic attack back and loses physical attack. But because his magic attack is so low to start, when he moves forward, it underflows. And it becomes maxed at 255. Which sounds scary, but he has no magic attacks anyways. So it doesn't actually affect anything. And the whole gimmick of him moving back and forth and gaining and lowering magic attack doesn't even matter, because he doesn't have any magic attacks. So again, like, really cool AI, but doesn't actually do anything. Also, Golem may have been made a monster due to the Golem materia being scrapped in early planning stages. We talk about that a lot in that video I talked about earlier, the Calm Chest video, so be sure to check that out if you haven't. But long story short, they thought about putting a materia in the game called Golem Materia. They ended up not doing it. And then some people have theorized that that's why this is an enemy, because they already had the idea for the materia, so they just made him into an enemy. I don't think there's any like actual proof of that, but it's an interesting thought. Yeah, another great enemy for like a mod to fix the enemies, where we could fix him not underflowing his magic, and then we could actually give him magic attacks. So, you know, he would do more magic damage from the back row. But yeah, super involved, cool AI, doesn't actually affect the battle much, other than he'll do a little more damage to you when he's closer to you with his attacks. Okay, so I believe I don't actually, it's been so long since I fought this enemy that I don't know exactly where it's at. I believe the way this works is when you're over here, when you see how like the skybox gets like orange, this counts as canyon. So there's like grass, and then this is canyon, and then beach over there, right? But if you're on this brown, but the sky has turned regular color instead of orange, it now counts as dirt. And this enemy can only be fought in the dirt in Cosmo area. So only this section of this dirt, this is the only place you can fight this enemy. It has to be where the skybox isn't orange, but it has to still be on the dirt. And actually, it doesn't look like we even went far enough yet, because this still looks like canyon. You have to be on the premium dirt. I wonder if, will this show us? I don't think it will, because it doesn't show. Oh, it does. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so right here, I can actually see it on the Ultima. If I pop this over here, you can see it. So you see, this is our encounter table. It's going to be hard to see because when I click the game, it's going to go over it. But if I move like here, so right here you see we have this count. This is canyon. We're in canyon right now. And then I move a little bit further. Now we're on dirt. So it has to be past this little line here to even have a chance of getting this enemy in this little tiny corner. But we can't make it far enough to the grass. So basically this little tiny corner of the world map is the only place you can fight this enemy. And I'm not sure if you can maybe get it over there too. Probably. I'm not sure. This is not it. This is a desert Sahagin. You can get these guys in the canyon as well. So let's talk about these guys. As mentioned before, his name is based on Sahagin from Dungeons and Dragons, but the spelling is different, which fits the rest of the series. This guy has seemingly an unfinished AI, so he works similar to the regular Sahagin in the sewers in Midgar, where he has a 1/16th chance to activate his shell defense every turn. And if he does, he sets his defense to 512. But they forgot to give it the routine to turn off. So if he turns on his defense at some point, not sure how she missed. Every turn he has a 1/16th chance to turn it on. And like I said before, with the sewer guy, there it is. So, like I said, with the sewer guy, when he turns it on, he sticks with it for the whole turn. So, like, if all three characters were to attack at the same time, he could potentially block all three before turning it back off. But these guys, they forgot to give him the routine to turn it off. So now he will keep it for the rest of the fight. We could sit here all day and attack him, and you'll take 1 damage forever. Oh, I see. We're darkness. That's why we're missing. Let's get rid of this darkness if I have something for it. I find it weird that these guys even give you darkness when they have this shell defense thing anyways. But yeah, he will take 1 damage for the rest of the fight now. So I guess they just forgot to finish the AI, because I really don't think that's supposed to be a thing. I think they're supposed to work just like the sewer ones. So yeah, these guys end up being really annoying. Also, a very interesting detail that I never knew about. Somebody commented about this. His name is Dog Shrapnel, so shout outs to Dog Shrapnel on YouTube. He commented about this on the episode with the sewer Sahagin, and I never knew about this. So, but basically, for some very odd, strange reason, the Sahagin enemies, this guy and the sewer Sahagin, have a auto hit effectiveness with punch attacks. I don't think any other enemy in the game has this with any ailment. I didn't take the chance to look at like every single enemy in the game with their ailments like that, but basically, long story short, punch attacks will never miss them. So for example, Tifa's regular attack will never miss them. I believe the check for this happens before ailments. So if Tifa gets darkness, she can still miss. But if she doesn't have darkness and she's just using a regular punch attack, she can never miss. And I don't know why that's a thing. I like, especially with this enemy, when it can defend against physical attacks anyways, I don't know why it's a thing. But for some reason, they specifically, and it doesn't even seem like it was a mistake because they gave it to both the Sahagin enemies. So I don't know if Tifa's just super effective against turtles. I don't know. I would love to hear the lore implications of this. But for some strange reason, punch attacks can never miss Sahagin enemies. And funnily enough, their evade chance is abysmal. It's like 3. So pretty much no one can miss Sahagins unless they're darkness. So it really doesn't affect anything at all, but it's there. So the very, very strange detail. I have no idea why it's a thing. It would have been cool if it was something like Tifa goes, like overrides the shell defense. So when they have the shell defense, everyone does 1 damage, but Tifa can do regular damage. That would have been cool. But no, it's just hit chance. And again, no one is ever going to miss unless they're darkness. So it's really weird. But yeah, very, very strange. And this auto hit ailment thing, I don't even know if it's a thing anywhere else in the game. It's just a very specific thing they coded and then never did anything with. So yeah, that's that. That's the Sahagin. And you could still use magic on him. This guy used to drive me crazy as a kid because, you know, you just want to like run through this area and spam attack. And you can't do that against this guy. You have to stop and use magic. But it's nice to know, because I always thought that I was just unlucky with this guy, and he just defended really often against me for some reason. So it's good to know that actually the AI is busted, and he just permanently gets it once he uses it once. Alright, let's get this... Let's get this super rare enemy. Nope. This is the Griffin. So the Griffin, as mentioned before, he has 2 entries in the Brady Guide. One is correct and the other one is spelled Griffon. And Griffon is actually Harpy's stats, which is really silly because he's a completely different type of enemy. The Griffin is supposed to be a creature with an eagle for the top half and a lion for the bottom half. But this guy seems more like he's a hawk. And then he either has like a falcon head or a hawk head. And then he has lion legs. Like his back legs are lion legs, but his front legs are bird legs. And then he has a peacock tail, which he uses specifically for the peacock attack. So he's basically a mix between either a hawk or a falcon, a lion, and a peacock, which is sick, by the way. Like, probably one of my favorite enemy designs in the game. Why he's called a griffin, I have no idea, but he's a really cool enemy. If he had like a unique name, I feel like he would be really sick. But yeah, Griffin's kind of an odd name and makes you kind of not even think about him that much. It's like, oh, it's just a griffin, whatever. But if you really look at him, like, he's a really cool enemy. They seem to have had a specific desire to do chimera type enemies in this part of the game because there's a lot of them. There's the chimera bug, there's this guy, there's the harpy. And yeah, peacock's pretty annoying because it drains your MP. It actually drains a lot. It can, as you see, it drained my whole pool there. Do I have a tent? Yeah. Alright, we got just the rare enemy left, and then the beach enemy. Let's do the beach enemy so that we can save the rare enemy for last. If I remember correctly, there is only one ability in the entire game that affects the limit bar. Do you know what it is? So here's the only enemy on the beach. His name is Crown Lance, which I really like that name. Once again, you're going to hear me say this a million times during this playthrough. This guy has a very complicated AI, and it does not matter because he has so little HP that you're going to like smack him in 2 hits. But he actually does have a very detailed AI. He has moves that can change his row. He has different attacks based on his row. And he will 100% counter with a 100% petrify attack called Deadly Needles if he is in the front row and has under 220 HP. So you don't see it very often because he has to be front row and he has to have really low HP. But it's actually one of the scariest attacks in the game. It's a 100% chance to petrify you. And you can fight this guy in the battle arena. So if you end up running into him in the battle arena and get hit by that attack, you just insta-lose if you don't have protection against it. So actually a pretty scary enemy. But no, there it is too. He must already be front row. Yeah, look at this. Look at how scary. Are we going to game over? Nope. Almost game over. Almost had to reset. Something very scary. No, not Sadness or Fury. I'm talking about an actual ability that affects the status bar. I believe there's only one in the entire game. There he is. All right. Show of hands. Hold on. We need an emote for this. Type. What's a good global emote we can use in case people aren't subbed? Let's do average. Average in all caps in the chat. Type average in all caps in the chat if you've never seen this enemy before. I want to see how many people in the Twitch chat haven't seen it. I'm curious how many people on YouTube has never seen this enemy before. I think this might be the rarest enemy in the game, at least in terms of just casual people ever seeing it. You have to be on this very specific spot on the world map, and it's still like a 1-4 encounter or something. Yeah, isn't that wild? I told you, there's a very good chance at some point throughout this playthrough there'll be an enemy you've never seen, just because there's so many. There's so many enemies in this game, it's crazy. So this is the bag risk. And what's cool about the bag risk, if you're somebody who's done a quote-unquote 100% playthrough or like a no missables playthrough, then you probably actually have seen this enemy because you would have looked up a guide and realized that you had to fight this enemy. Because he is the only source in the game for infinite Vagris claws. You can get a Vagris claw from the Commander Grandhorn enemy when you lose the Fort Condor minigame. Specifically, when you lose the huge materia version of the Fort Condor minigame, then you can get a single Vagris claw from him. Otherwise, this is the only source of Vagris claws, is this guy. He also is in the battle square, funnily enough. As much as I said he's rare, and he only shows up here, he is in the battle square, but it's only while the Tiny Bronco is active. So a lot of times people don't do the battle square till later in their playthroughs. So you probably won't see him in the battle square, but he is there. What else? Oh, the best level to try to steal Bagger's Claws from this guy is level 11. Because as you get higher up in levels, you'll actually get the rarer steal more often. And I believe there's a point where if you're too high of a level, you can no longer steal Bagger's Claws from him, because you'll just always get the rare steal instead. What else? Oh, no. Bagger's Claw is the rare steal, so never mind. I think you can always get it. No. Nope. Back that up. I have it written down here. Once you get to level 77, you can only ever steal a soft. They must have flipped it. Because you would think the Vagris Claw would be the rare steal, and soft would be the common steal, but it must be backwards. Or is it that you get the... Oh, I think I remember what it is. When you get to a high enough level, you have a 100% chance to get the common steal. So you just always get the common steal. I believe that's how it works. So once you're level 77, or if you equip the sneak glove, yeah, you just always get the common steal because it's so common to get. And then in this game, you can't get the common steal and the rare steal from an enemy. You can only get one. So then it's just impossible to get the Vagris Claw, which is silly. Stealing in this game is like the worst mechanic. It's so terrible. You can only ever get one item. It gets rid of the drop table when you steal from enemies, and the chance is really bad, and the only way to make it better is level or the sneak glove. It's not... I mean, like Final Fantasy IX... The steal mechanic is fine, with the exception of it just being impossible, and also only Zidane can do it. But, like, what you get is nice, and you can get multiple items. You can get, like, the common steal and the rare steal from a fight. So it's actually kind of better in 9. It's just more frustrating in 9 because it's so bad. But yeah, the mechanic in this game is terrible. Like, you only ever get one item. You can lock yourself out of the rare item if you're too good at stealing. The only way to get better at stealing is leveling up. You can't use, like, luck materia or anything. And the sneak glove is the only item in the game that helps you steal, and it really doesn't help enough. Alright, there we go. We're done with Cosmo area. No, we're not talking about statuses that affect limit. And yeah, those don't either. Nope, there's a specific ability in the game that will actually move the limit bar. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yep, Fury Brand. Aerith's limit break, Fury Brand. Drains her limit bar and gives it to the other two characters. And I believe it's the only thing in the game that actually moves the bar. I don't think there's a single enemy attack in the game that moves the bar or any other ability you can do to move the bar. Which is a shame, because that would have been a cool gimmick. Like a boss that drains your limit bar. Don't all enemy attacks technically move the limit bar? Doesn't it remove you from my chat if I type /ban and then your name? Asking for a friend? Yeah. Yeah, I'll test it. The attack command raises the limit bar? It does? That's news to me. Attacking yourself does not raise the limit bar. No. Yeah, you're banned. Banned for fake news.